Hi guys. So today is the day. I am going to tell you my story and what the purpose of this podcast is all about and why I'm here. So I'm going to get right into it because it's a really long story. Um, Someone told me a few weeks ago, um, if you can tell your story without shedding a tear, you know that you've truly let go. So it's going to be a test today just to see where I am mentally. All right, so back in 2012, June 2012 was when I moved here with my partner. We'd been together for 6.5 years at that time, and we had a 6.5 month old. His name is Loki. He's incredible. So we moved here, and I had transferred my job from North Carolina, and I was supposed to start work within a couple weeks of moving here. And we were staying in a hotel. We hadn't found a place to live yet. I just wanted to confirm that my job was going to start. So when I found out that it was going to be a few weeks, we went ahead and set up and got an apartment in Auburn. And right after signing the lease and getting our new apartment set up and everything, found out that I was getting laid off. So that job that I had set up didn't, it just fell through. And we had no backup plan. When we moved here, we had probably $3,000 in cash, and just staying in the hotel for that long period of time before we got an apartment it was really a struggle financially. So we just looked for work. We both found a job working for a call center in Federal Way. So that's what we did for about a month or two, and it just wasn't going to work out for both of us working. Someone needed to stay with Loki because we didn't know the area. We didn't really trust anybody to watch our child, so it's really stressful during that time. Um, and I noticed that Thomas began to drink more and more, which was nothing new. He drank a lot before we moved here, and I did as well. Um, it's like we were supporting each other's habits by drinking a lot. Which, I mean, it's not always bad. Um, we had a lot of great times, you know. Um, but if you've been around people who drink a lot, they use that as an excuse for being a jerk or being an asshole to you while they're drinking. And that happened a lot in my relationship. Um, Thomas would say some really mean things to me while he was drinking, and the next day not apologize or not even acknowledge that he had said or did anything. So I remember one night at our apartment in Auburn, um, we both had to, this is before one of us stopped working. I could tell that he was really stressed, and he started drinking um, vodka, and that's not normally what he would drink. It would just be, beers or whatever, but that night he started drinking vodka really heavily, and I just decided that I didn't want to be around him. I was just going to go to sleep, and I didn't want him to say anything mean to me or just give him that opportunity to be an asshole. So um, I walked towards his bedroom and I slammed the door because I was kind of just like, I was over it. I was over the whole drinking thing. And he got upset that I slammed the door and came into the bedroom and reared his fist back and almost punched me in the face. But I moved fast enough to where he just hit my shoulder. Never told anybody that. Never told anybody that happened. So he freaked out after that. Like, he started screaming like a little kid. It was insane. And I was just in shock that this person that I had given my life to and have just truly loved for the past 6.5 years tried to hurt me. And I didn't know what to do. I had nobody to turn to. My family was all back on the East Coast. I had no friends here. I hadn't established anything here. So, I just took it for what it was, and I said in my mind, it was because he was drinking. It's he would not have done that had he been sober. Um, so after that, I kind of lost that image of him in my head of like putting him on this pedestal and thinking that he was the greatest guy ever. Because in the beginning of our relationship, like it was amazing. Like, I don't know. Looking back at it now, it's true what they say, love is blind, and you don't truly see a person for who they are until, things start to come to an end. But, like, we have a kid together. I just try to stay strong, and it just put some distance between us. So I didn't really look at him the same way or feel even the same way towards him after that. And I try to explain these things to him. He used to tell me that I was terrible at communicating and just point out all my flaws about me, even to the littlest things, like not putting the lid back on the toothpaste or just small things that were meaningless. And we would argue about those things. Um, I I noticed a couple times he had left his Facebook up. He had been messaging girls from back home about wanting to have sex with him and things like that, and that just really hurt me even more. And like I said, that from that point on, it was just really distant between us. So um, we decided we didn't like the apartment we were living in or the area, so we moved not too long after that incident, um, to Federal Way. It's much nicer apartments, I guess, and we were still looking for different jobs. And I remember, I think it was the end of September, I had gotten a call about a job at Whole Foods, and I was super stoked. I had been vegetarian for a while, and I just loved the whole concept of Whole Foods and what the company was about, and the organic selection, and I just wanted to raise Loki in a healthy environment as far as eating well. So I was super stoked. Um, I wound up getting the job at Whole Foods, and it took me a little while to get to know people. I was kind of, it's never liked me to be shy, but for some reason when I started Whole Foods, I was really shy, and just, I think a lot of things were going on in my mind, and I didn't want to open up to people because of the situation that was going on at home, and I didn't really know what to do about it. And um, luckily I opened up. I guess it was 3 months into the job. That's when I really started meeting people and began making friends. Um, but the first friend that I made working at Whole Foods was Thor, and he just happens to be my best friend now, and I don't know what I would do without him. He is rock solid, and I appreciate him more and more every day. But after I started working at Whole Foods, um, that January of 2013, I did the 28-day challenge. And what that is just a vegan diet for 28 days. And so I thought, well, I was pushing, probably 275, almost 300 pounds. I was not feeling good about myself. Just eating a lot of junk food, drinking all the time. And so I thought, I need to try this and see what happens. I'm already a vegetarian. How hard could it be to just switch over? So I started the vegan diet. Um, Started losing weight really rapidly, and I was starting to feel really great about myself. And I thought me and Thomas were on the right track. I got him eating better too, and because I know he wasn't feeling good about himself, and I wanted us to do this together, so we could both feel good about ourselves and hopefully fix whatever was going on in the relationship. Um, I had talked to him about drinking and how I didn't want to drink anymore, and he would always find a way to make me feel guilty and talk me into buying more beer, and I would do it, because I wanted him to be happy. And I think that was the problem in our relationship. I always tried to make him happy and I didn't look at the other side. I didn't think about making myself happy. So that was a big issue. But once I started to see, like, hey, I can be happy too, like doing my own thing and doing things for myself. So our relationship, we were still distant from each other. I have always had a hard time communicating with him, just because just the way he talked to me when I would communicate. So when I finally started opening up more and more and vocalizing what I wanted in life and how I felt about things, he did not like that. He didn't appreciate it, even though that's what he asked for. He asked me to be more open, and um, I don't know if he felt threatened, or I don't really know. Um, but during that time period, I was losing weight, and just I'm really great at making friends very easily. I'm very social. I love to talk. If you're my friend, you know that I love to talk, and I can sit and talk for hours and hours until my voice is gone. Um, but he was not the same. He was more quiet, kept to himself. Um, he did wind up getting a job at Whole Foods, working overnight, which was great because we needed the income. It was stressful enough not having, you know, that income, and having to pay rent and car payment and taking care of Loki, and it was just a lot. Um, I felt like things started to get better though, and I'm not sure if he felt the same way. Um, I remember going to Thor had started game nights at his apartment, and I started going to those, once a week just to have some time to myself by myself and not have to worry about being a parent or not have to worry about being a partner to somebody, just being Jamie. And that was a lot of fun. And I think he was really jealous of that because he didn't get that time. And so, and if he did want that time, he would want to go see somebody that he had made friends with at our previous job, but he would be drunk and want to drive our car. And I did not want to, I would have to argue with him, like, you cannot drive our car while you were so drunk. Like, he'd already had two DUIs, and that was stressful. That was before we even moved here. And, driving someone around for 2 years because they lost their license is not fun when you have to drive all the time and you have to be responsible for this person. It's just like having another kid. And I felt that way. So when he would want to drive somewhere while he was drinking, it would drive me nuts. Like what he did not understand about the concept of drinking and driving. Like, you could hurt somebody or you could hurt yourself. So that was a big issue. And then when I would try to talk to him about it, the next day or when he was sober, it just wasn't a conversation he would want to have. So um, I guess it was April 2013. I decided I wanted to try a juice cleanse. I bought my juicer before we moved to Washington, and I'd kind of gotten into it, but not really like motivated to do it. But since I'd started being vegan and just trying to be more health conscious, I was like, no, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And so within maybe 15 days of the cleanse, I had already dropped 25 pounds, and it was incredible. Like, it was incredible. And just the opportunities that started opening up in my life as I was on that cleanse, it was just amazing. I met some really awesome people that got me connected with um, my friend Bianca, who has started a successful business with her juice bars, and I'm so happy to know her, and I've learned a lot from her. But it was incredible, like all these opportunities opening. I had applied to be a supervisor at Whole Foods, and I was going to work part-time for Bianca at the juice bar, and I just felt so good, and all these people were so inspired by me. I got um, I got featured on a website, Fit Life TV, and I remember getting over 3,000 emails, and not including just messages on their website, and it was just so overwhelming and powerful. Like, just little me, like, inspired all these people with just my weight loss transformation, and it was incredible. And like I said, it was overwhelming, but I took the time and just read each and every email, each and every message, and I responded to everybody because I felt like, they reached out to me, and, they were so inspired by my story, and it was awesome. So by the end of the cleanse, I had lost 40 pounds and was just looking like a whole new person. And I had all this awesome energy. I could actually keep up with Loki. I felt like I could be the partner I wanted to be. Even though Thompson and I had our struggles, but we've been together for going on 7.5 years, and it's just like I wanted to make it work because I loved him, and I mean I still love him. It's just in a different way, you know. But I remember going on our team build back in, I think it was July. It was July 2013 when our team build, and it was the best day ever. I was super bummed because Thor had quit Whole Foods before the team build earlier that year, and I was just bummed that he wasn't there to enjoy that experience with us. And um, I remember hanging out with Melanie and Christina after the team build. We had so much fun. It was just like girl time, and I remember I had introduced them to Naco Bear's music that day, and we just, I don't know, it was probably like 11 at night, and we finally just decided to call it quits, but we just sat around and ate a lot of bread and just talked, and it was nice. It was nice, because I felt like I hadn't had that in a long time. And Melanie and Christina are great, and I remember getting home, and at the team build I had gotten a free bottle of sparkling wine, and I was like, well, I'll sit and drink this with him because I can tell that he is not happy that I have not been there all day, and I don't know. I'm just not, we were just in two different places mentally, you know. I wanted to I wanted to be able to have that free time and make friends and be social, and he was the total opposite. So um, I remember the next day, or it might have been even before the team build, he had been on our phone bill and was wondering why I had texted this number so many times. And I was like, well, all that's Thor's number. And I was like, we text a lot. And I think the day that he quit, I probably texted him like 100 times just because I was in shock and just sad. You know, he brought a lot. He brought the morale to our team, and just all his funny shenanigans and tricks he would play on people, and it just felt good to be around somebody like that at work. Um, so when he quit, I was devastated, like seriously devastated, and I just wanted to check and see what happened and make sure he was okay. And um, I don't know, most guys just jump to conclusion like, hey, this, like, she's seeing somebody, or she's cheating on me with somebody else. But I was open and honest with him. I'm like, we are just friends. I even offered to let him look at my phone, read the text messages, read our Facebook messages, and he didn't want it. He didn't want to. He was like, no. And it was just so frustrating at that time. So I just let it go, and then um, I had to. And during that time, I found myself, even though I was getting healthy, I found myself, you know, smoking a lot of pot just to relieve stress and just not mentally be there when he would talk to me the way that he would. And so I think before our team build, we went home. We went home to North Carolina. We drove home to visit our family. And I just noticed when we went to visit my uncle in Baltimore, he was just, I don't know, just getting wasted every day that we were there, which was, I don't know, normal for him. But I remember him accusing me of sleeping with my uncle, and I just didn't even want to be near him. Like, my uncle, my uncle has been a father figure in my life, and I just couldn't believe that he would think anything like that would be going on with a family member. So, um, we we drove to North Carolina. We visited my family and his family, and this he had not. I had got him to stop drinking a little bit while we were juicing because I had him cleansing too. But it was going to be his birthday while we were in North Carolina, so he wanted to splurge and drink. Um, so the night of his birthday, he had drank a lot, and we were out with his friends or both of our friends and his brother, and I just remember him getting so drunk, and he just wanted to keep drinking. He wanted to go out and party more, and we were just like, no, dude, we're done. We're ready to go home and go to sleep. Like, we have a long drive. We have to drive 4 days to get back home. And so when we got back to his mom's house, and he was just being really, really rude towards everybody. And I remember the next morning, when he woke up, he tried to accuse me of having sex with one of his good friends and his brother. And I thought, this man is fucking crazy. Like, he is losing his mind to be accusing me of all these things. And I just remember sitting there crying, and he's just like, why are you crying? Like, I just couldn't believe I was letting someone treat me that way. Um, so I made it back home. I just try to forget about it. But then after the team build, I remember that weekend I had to work, after the team build, and it was on a Sunday. I was going into work, and Melanie and I had been carpooling on the days we had the same schedule, and it was mostly on Sundays. So Melanie and I had made plans for her to come over, and we would go hang out by the pool before we had to go to work. And I'd also found I was pregnant, you know, that summer, right after my juice cleanse. After just dropping 40 pounds, I just found I was pregnant. And it was just, I just didn't know where I was at that point, you know. I was excited to be pregnant again. Um, I just wasn't sure where I wanted to be. So that Sunday, Melanie came over, and Thomas had already went to the store and bought himself a six-pack and was already drinking. And I got Loki ready, and we all went down to the pool. We were hanging out, and you know, even though the way Thomas had been treating me, you know, me being pregnant, I felt like it had brought us closer together. Um, so that was just such a perfect day, just hanging out. And you know, I just remember him, like, we were holding each other in the pool, and he kissed me, and it was just, I just felt like, you know, everything was gonna get better. So it's time for me and Melanie to leave, and so we got ready and we left for work. And I went to work. I was trained to be supervisor. You know, my interview was going to be that Wednesday, and I was super excited. I felt like my life was finally coming together, you know. So it was just awesome. And I remember getting a phone call on my lunch, or I called Thomas on my lunch, and I could tell that he was really, really drunk. He started accusing me of having sex with his brother again, and just all these weird accusations. And you know, he said he had called and talked to his mom about it, and I was like, really, you're really being crazy right now. So I did not want to deal with that on my lunch. And you know, I was having a great day at work. Some of my favorite customers came in, and they stopped and gave me a gift card, so I could buy the new baby something, and it was just really awesome. So I remember me and Melanie were driving home. It was really late, because normally I think in the summertime we close at 11 or something like that. So probably like 11:30 when we got back, and I invited Melanie to come upstairs, like, hey, I'll cook you something to eat, if you want to hang out. But she still had to drive to Tacoma, so it was just kind of late for both of us. So she went on home, and I remember walking up the stairs, and before I even opened the door, as soon as I got to the door, I could already smell alcohol before I could even open the door. And I was just already disgusted before I even opened the door. I opened the door and I look, and there's like this 24-pack of beer just already gone. It was already gone. So he had been there drinking all those beers the whole time I was at work, and supposed to be taking care of our son. So I was very frustrated. I just remember him sitting there on the couch with this evil look in his eye. Like, I'd never seen him look this way. I'll never forget those eyes. They were just so mean looking. And I knew that he had to be at work at like 4 a.m. and here it is like 11:30, and he's like super trashed. Like, and I'm thinking, how is he gonna make it to work? And why did he drink so much? And he had just gotten this new schedule. We just got it worked out, and I just couldn't believe that he was gonna just blow it just because he wanted to get drunk. So I guess while I was at work, I had left my Facebook open, which shouldn't matter. Like, he can read whatever he wants to. I'm not hiding anything from him, so um, apparently he had read messages that Thor and I had sent back to each other. Um, well, that was his excuse anyway. He had left Loki in the apartment all by himself, walked to the store, and bought beer and came back. And apparently something that he read made him think that Thor and I were seeing each other behind his back. No matter how many times I denied it or offered to let him read text or whatever, you know. I would think that we had been through so much in a relationship to that point that he would trust me when I would say nothing's going on. So I was a little frustrated, and I was just like, I'm just going to go to bed. Set your alarm, get up for work. So I walked over to the computer, and I turned around and I asked him, do I need to charge your phone for you so you'll have it at work? And he didn't say anything, and he just kind of looked at me and, like, took his phone back like he was going to throw it at me. And I looked at him, I was like, why would you throw your phone at me? And so I turned around, and I plugged my phone in, and then when I turned back around, he was right in my face, and he just headbutted me so hard. Like, I've never been headbutted before in my life, and I was just so stunned and shocked, and I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that to me? And he just gets this smirk on his face like it was funny, and he's just like, I didn't do anything. And so I turned back around, and the next thing I knew, he was on top of me, just punching me, just like I was a man, just punching me in the face over and over. And I remember the computer fell on the floor, and he was just yelling out Thor's name and telling me I could go be with Thor and all these things. And all I could think in my mind, I cannot believe this is happening because he thinks that I'm cheating on him with Thor. Like this is all happening for no reason. And I just remember blood just pouring out of my nose, and it was everywhere. Like, I had tried to get away from him, and he was a big guy, strong guy, and it was just so hard just to get out from under his arm. But I just remember, like, blood just being everywhere. I had on a white t-shirt, and it was just all over my shirt, and immediately I was in shock and just shaking, and finally I just said, stop, I'm pregnant, just stop. And I'm just crying, and there's just so much blood, and I was just in shock that something like this could happen to me, and I didn't know what to do. I did not know what to do. Loki was in our bedroom sleeping, and I just remember my face was just throbbing. I've never been hit like that before, ever in my life. But to be hit by somebody that I have loved and cared about for all these years, it's like in 3 minutes my identity was stripped from me, of that person, of whoever I was. It was gone. That sense of security was gone. He crossed the line. He stopped and went to the bathroom and just, I remember he was taking a shower. I went into the bathroom, and I was like, we just need to get cleaned up. We just need to wipe up all this blood and just clean everything up. And I did not know what to do. I tried to keep him in the bathroom, to keep him away from Loki, and just hope that we could just stop and talk and just think about the next step. But he was still in that drunken state. He was not going to stop. So we got out of the bathroom. There was no way I could keep him in there. And he went into the bedroom and started looking for the shotgun. And I thought, holy shit, what is going to happen now? And I tried to stop him. And I remember him pushing me down the bed and just putting all his weight on his forearm on my neck. Like he was trying to make me black out or just choke me. And it took everything I had just to get him off of me. He was not letting up, and I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I got him off of me, but I did. At that point, Loki woke up. He was crying, so I picked him up, and we were sitting on the floor, and he couldn't find the shotgun shells. So instead, he grabbed this little pistol that I had, and he was probably like, I don't know, 3 feet away from us. The bed was in between us, and I'm holding Loki in my lap, and I just remember him pointing the gun at me. And in that moment, all I could think about is me not seeing all the people I love ever again. My kids wouldn't have a mom. My mom was going to lose her daughter. My siblings wouldn't have a sister. Just all these thoughts, all in the instant. I just remember begging him to stop. And instead of pulling the trigger, he pointed it to the ceiling and fired around into the ceiling. Luckily, we're on the 3rd floor, so nobody was above us. I knew there was one more bullet in the gun. And I just had to think really fast of what to do. I grabbed Loki, ran to the living room, and I got the phone. For some reason, I didn't think to call the police. I didn't want anybody involved. I didn't know what to do. Because at this point, he's still my partner. So I called his dad so I could distract him. I got a hold of his dad and gave his dad, like, what was happening. Thomas was still looking for the shotgun, or the shells at least, and I was like, if I don't get somebody on the phone or do something to distract him, he is going to kill us. So I told his dad, I'm like, I'm going to give the phone to Thomas. You have to talk to him. You have to help me stop this. And I don't know how his dad was going to help stop. He's on the East Coast. Like, what is he going to do? So I gave the phone to Thomas. It worked. Started talking to his dad, and that was perfect timing. I knew exactly where the shotgun shells were. As soon as he walked out of the bedroom, I ran into the room, got the shotgun shells, I hid them outside on the balcony. He knew that I hid them. He kept asking me while he was on the phone, where did you put the shells? Where are they? And so I told him I threw them over the balcony. I threw them downstairs. At this point, he still hadn't even gotten dressed. He was still naked. He walked outside from the third floor all the way downstairs looking for these shells. And, you know, I'm surprised, like, no one around us called the cops, like, after hearing that gunfire. So while he was downstairs, I started getting a bag together, and I got Loki some diapers, got his cup, and I knew I would have to wait until he got back in before I could actually leave. As soon as he came back in, he went back into the bedroom, and I knew that was my only chance to get out. I grabbed my cell phone. I had everything I needed at that point that I thought that I needed. I was holding Loki, and as soon as he went to the bedroom, when I knew that he was still talking to his dad, I snuck out the door and ran down the stairs as fast as I could and got in the car. I was so scared, and just when I got in the car, I was so relieved. I was so relieved, but I was so scared that, you know, is he gonna hurt himself? Is he gonna kill himself? Like, what's gonna happen now? So I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to call. I didn't want anybody to know. I wanted it to all just go away and not tell anybody about it. So I drove the car down to the other side of the apartments, and Loki and I slept in the car. I remember Thomas had texted me, but I can't remember what the texts were, but I think he wanted me to take him to a train station so he could just take a train back to North Carolina and just leave. I do remember calling and talking to his dad after that, just to see what his dad had said to him, and, like, you know, give him the rundown of what happened. And, you know, his dad was apologizing for, you know, Thomas's actions. So I just wanted to give him some time to sober up and just give myself some time to think. I mean, I've never been in a domestic violation or violent situation, so it was so difficult. Sorry guys, I ran out of space. So I didn't know what to do at that point. So I remember just sleeping in my car, and, you know, I didn't have any food for Loki. I just grabbed diapers and wipes, and so I was like, okay, I need to go back to the apartment. Just not even thinking like I should be. I don't know how you're supposed to think when something like that has just happened to you, so, or why I would think it would be safe to go back. Really, I just wanted him to get out of the apartment. So I texted him and I said, listen, you need to get dressed. You need to get ready. I don't care if you go to work. I just need you to get out of the apartment. I will drive you wherever you need to go. I just want you out of the apartment. So I drove back up to the apartment, pulled right up in front. I left Loki in while he was sleeping and ran upstairs, and I was so nervous to open that door. And I opened the door and I didn't see Thomas anywhere. It was very quiet. I remember walking into the bedroom and he was laying on the bed. He seemed to be asleep. Um, at that point, I was still in shock. I didn't know how I didn't know how this was gonna end. I felt like I couldn't reach out to anybody. At that point, I didn't want to. I didn't want anybody to know what had just happened. So, I don't know how it happened, but I remember him getting up and me running out the door. I remember running down the stairs so fast to get in the car. And when I got to the next to the last step, I fell and twisted my ankle. And then he stopped chasing me and went back upstairs. So that point, I just got in the car and I went and slept in the parking lot until the early morning. And I remember around 6 a.m. or 6:30, I was getting a call from his really good friend Mark. And I was like, why would Mark be calling me? And I didn't answer because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was not prepared to talk to anybody at that point. So, I waited till about 7 or 7:30 and I thought, life is going to go on. I still have to go to work today. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just go to work and tell him I fell down and bust my face up. So, that second time I went back to the apartment, I still didn't grab the food. I knew Loki had to eat. I had to eat. So we went back to the apartment, and when I tried to get back in the apartment, it was barricaded. Like the couch, the chair was like up against the door. I had to push my way in. And when I came in, he was sitting there at the computer, drinking another beer. And so I just took Loki into the bedroom, and me and Loki stayed in the bedroom. And then I got a text, or I had sent Mark a text about what happened, just to give him an update, and he told me that he called the cops. And I was so angry. I was like, why would you call the cops? Like, the situation's under control. I was just so upset. And he was like, it's too late. He was like, I'm sorry. I called your work. He's like, I didn't know what to do. Thomas was posting all these suicidal things on Facebook. And he's like, I didn't know how. He's like, Thomas told me that he hurt you really bad. And I didn't know how bad or how serious it was. And he was like, I felt like it was the right thing to do. So right after that, I got a text from the police department saying they were outside and I needed to come downstairs. I needed to get out of the apartment. I needed to bring Loki and get out. I was so nervous to go into the living room and tell Thomas, hey, the cops are outside. And I told the cops, I just sent them a message like, hey, everything's fine, everything's under control. We don't need anybody to intervene or interfere. And they were just like, it's beyond that point. So I grabbed Loki. I grabbed the diaper bag. When I left, Thomas was passed out on the floor. They told me they just wanted to talk. I thought, okay, I could just go down and talk to them and, come back up. And everything will be fine. Life will just go back to the way it was. So I go downstairs with Loki, and I had to sit in the police car for 5 hours with Loki. There was police surrounding the apartment complex. They wanted to know all the information, were there weapons in the house, and just all these questions, just so overwhelming. And Thomas had drank so much alcohol that he could not, he was passed out. Like in total, he probably had over 30 beers. And, he was still drinking whenever I came back. So, what I did notice, well, not yet, I'll get to that in a minute. So 5 hours later, he finally comes to, and they have to gas our apartment just to wake him up to get him out of the apartment. And, the police were so nice. They offered to get us food and, had to be very specific, like, hey, we're vegan, you can't just go to McDonald's and get Loki a Happy Meal. So it was really awesome. One of the police officers drove down to one of the health food stores down the street and got Loki some kale chips and just some really healthy snacks, and that was really awesome. And after that, once they got Thomas in the police car and took him to be processed at the police station, I was finally able to go back to the apartment. They had to take pictures of my face, of just pretty much anywhere I had a mark on my body. I did not give them information about him holding the gun to my face, or him pulling the trigger on the gun. I did have to go upstairs and help them find the shotgun and the pistol so they could take it in as evidence that we did have weapons in the house, and they could file that in the report. So the apartment was just ransacked. It was just, I didn't want to be there, but I didn't want to leave either. I didn't want anybody to see me. I remember calling my uncle while we were waiting in the police car, just because I didn't know. I didn't know if Thomas was still alive or dead, or what was going on and why it was taking so long. And it's weird how we can still care about people who hurt us. So at that point, I had called into work and just, I remember talking to Bill, and he was just like, take all the time you need. I was in tears. Little did I know he'd already knew some of the situation that was going on, and I just really didn't know what to do. I'm pregnant. I already have a baby here that's dependent on me. I can't remember how I had to tell someone just so I could get some kind of support or just feel like a person again. But luckily I had some great friends, and the word spread pretty quickly. You know, I had people come and bring me groceries. You know, Whole Foods was very supportive. Whole Foods have helped fund me to move into an apartment to help me find childcare for Loki so I could go back to work. Um, they let me take my time when coming back to work. Um, Took a leave of absence. You know, a lot of people didn't know why I wasn't at work, or it was just a few close friends that knew what was going on. Um, my friend Jessie helped out a lot. Melanie, Thor, Alex, Jen, and Cynthia. Just a lot of people. I felt like I had a lot of support, and it was awesome because I had only known these people, you know, 7 months or so, and it was just incredible. And I just remember not wanting to leave my apartment, so people would just come visit me to see how I was doing, and it was just really hard to function at that time in my life. Because here I've been through all of this, and you know, I'm pregnant, and I still have to take care of Loki, and just had nobody to take care of me. Like, I wasn't there mentally to take care of myself. Um, but somehow I did. Um, it was just amazing to not have known these people in my life for a short period of time, and just how everybody came together to help me. Even when they didn't think they were helping me, they were helping me. I'm telling you, if you're listening, you guys were helping me so much. And it's like, you know, I've been in a relationship, you know, almost 8 years, and it was just, when you get stripped of that identity of like being someone's partner, you're kind of left with like, well, who was I before this? Because you're not really an individual in most relationships. You're required to meet up to these expectations of this other person, and you kind of lose yourself, and you kind of lose what your purpose was in your journey to begin with. So I felt like that happened to me, you know. But the point in me telling you what happened to me is that it doesn't matter what you're going through, you know. It's just about learning and growing from the experience and moving forward and figuring out what is making you happy, what's going to make you happy, what is it going to take to get to that point. You're going to go through so many obstacles in life, but you're going to learn and grow and just be the person. You're going to be the best version of yourself afterwards. Things are always not going to be, you know, it's not always going to be sunshine. You know, but we have to make the choices. We make the choices. I made the choice to be with Thomas and stay with him for as long as I did. And the outcome of that story could have been way worse. I almost lost my life, but I didn't. And I'm here, and I feel like I'm here for a purpose, to spread the light to everybody I connect with or talk to, like, to help you see, to help push you to live your life to your full potential. And by doing that, it helps me push myself. And you know, this happened in 2013, and I look back and I'm like, look where I am now. You know, I am becoming the person that I'm supposed to be. I mean, it can't happen overnight to where you get over something and let something go like that. I guess the point I'm trying to make is just do what makes you happy and live life to your full potential. And if you're struggling, reach out. You know, there's people that care about you in your life. And if you don't feel comfortable going to your family, um, I'm always here. I'm always here. You know, I wish I had reached out more and I didn't. And I've been trying to deal with all of this by myself and not burden anybody else. So I know how hard it is and how difficult it can be just to go through something alone when you don't have to. And, you know, I'm lucky to have the friends that I have. I'm so lucky. I couldn't ask for better friends. You know, I'm finally at the point in my life where I'm like, I know who Jamie is. I know what Jamie wants, and I know what's best for Jamie, and not letting somebody else dictate my life. Um, that's the perks of being single. You know, getting to know yourself again after a relationship. Because if you don't know yourself, it's going to be tough to be in a relationship. Um, I'm going to wrap this up because this has been very long, and um, I just want you guys to know that you seriously don't have to go through anything alone. And remember, it's not the end. No matter what you're going through, it's sometimes bad things have to happen in order to make room for good things, better things. You know, we have to eliminate some things in our life, some people in our life, just to move forward and get to where we need to be. Because maybe that person or that thing is holding us back, and the universe is trying to push it out of our life so we can become the best versions of ourselves. So, you know, as always, just keep loving yourself. I hope you guys are still hugging yourself every day and just complimenting yourself, leaving yourself notes on the mirror to tell yourself how amazing you are and how beautiful you are. And, you know, no matter what's happening, just be sure to channel your energy in a positive way. And like I said, reach out if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we all need support at some point in our life. And if I can be that support, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here to listen. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much. This was definitely nervous about doing this, but I'm glad that I did it and got it off my chest, and I feel way better. And I hope if this helps one person that watches it, I have accomplished my goal. So I love you guys, and thank you again for all your support.